The following program is for mature audiences only. Football talk shows, most of them sound like this. Blah, 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 blah. Not this one. That's because it features the former director of college scouting with the Chicago Bears. He worked on the staff that drafted, the likes of Devin Hester, Olin Kreutz, Lance Briggs. He's the man who takes shit from absolutely nobody. He's Greg Gabriel. Gabriel joins longtime Chicago sports reporter David Schuster. And this is, accordingly, Gabriel Schuster Talk Bears.
And welcome into the latest edition of the Gabriel Schuster podcast. I'm David Schuster, and he, of course, is Mr. Greg Gabriel. And Greg and Aldo, I'm going to start this off with, I told you so. I told you the Bears were not going to win the game against Indianapolis.
Do you think they're going to win every game?
You think
No.
they're going to win it?
No.
Okay, but you told me, we'll start right there. You told me if they started 3-0 that, they would not finish 8-8. They will finish 8-8, by the way, Greg. This team is not that good.
I got 50 that says they'll be better than 8-8.
Let me talk to you at the end of this podcast.
No, it could be 50 cents or $50 or,
Yeah, well, gentlemen, bets suck, so we're not going to do that.
Okay.
All right, I'm just, before we get into it, as we always do, the chronological order of everything yesterday, and boy, did I take my copious notes. I almost ran out of room on my paper.
I
And
took
was
my
at the
notes
game.
and I always leave them at home.
Okay. Anyway, here's why I don't think the Bears are that good of a football team. First of all, they started off 3-0 against teams that were a combined 1-8. That should have given you a little bit of a hint. And let's face it, in the three teams, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Giants, those are three pretty putrid teams. Okay? So yesterday was certainly much more of a test. Indianapolis' defense is very good. Their offense is not that good. It really isn't. And Phillip Rivers did not have a good game yesterday, at least not in person. I didn't think he did.
I got a lot of things to say.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean,
Okay.
I'll lob it all to you up front. Here's why I don't think the Bears are that good a football team. First of all, as it always does, it starts up front. Defensively, yeah, I do like the Bears' front. Offensively, I do not. Their front five, their offensive line is, I don't even know if you can call it mediocre. And we'll talk about Charles Leno in that one play where he just let somebody walk right by him to get to Nick Foles in the third quarter. They couldn't open up any holes yesterday whatsoever. The Bears also have not one but two mediocre quarterbacks. The play calling yesterday was terrible. It was boring. I wanted to go to sleep, and I'm at the game yesterday. So it all adds up to me. It all adds up to me, Greg, that this is just an average team, and the meat of the schedule is upcoming. By the way, it starts with Tampa Bay, and we'll talk about that certainly. Before this podcast is over, the game coming up on Thursday night. They're just a mediocre football team, Greg.
No, I think they're better than that.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this: everything you said at the beginning is totally correct of who they played against. Now, you're going to talk. Let's talk the Indianapolis Colts. That's a goddamn good football team. That is, I tweeted out yesterday, best defense I've seen in years. Not this year, in years. In fact, I sent a text to Chris Ballard with about 6 minutes left in the game. He did not answer it until after the game. I just saying just that. I said, that's the best defense I've seen in years. After he sends me back a text, he goes, yeah, we're getting better, but there's still things to work out. I sent back, spoken like a true GM.
Sure.
I said, I know what I saw. They have familiarity with Nick Foles. Frank Reich was Nick Foles' offensive coordinator in Philadelphia.
Right.
He knows what he can do. He knows what he can't do. And now, the one thing where we were wrong about when we talked last week, we thought the offense would change a little bit from Mitch Trubisky to Nick Foles. It really didn't. I thought, when you go back and you look at Nick Foles' career, 90% of his snaps in his career have been from the gun. Mm-hmm. And he played a hell of a lot of under center. That's not his game. I think that going forward, you got to play to his strengths, and his strength is playing in the gun. You can adjust the running game that way. I agree with you. The offensive line played terrible. Part of that reason is the defensive line for the Colts played great. Those guys were outstanding. They had a lot of speed. They played a very disciplined game. They wouldn't let receivers off the line of scrimmage. Their coverage was outstanding. You can't take away. Yeah, they made the Bears look bad, but you can't take away how good the Colts were.
The Colts defense, again, very good. Their secondary, it was outstanding yesterday. Outstanding.
Now, they lost Rock Yeason or C-Yin or whatever his name is. Late in the game. That remains to be seen. How long he's out, if at all. I know another part of the text that Ballard sent to me after the game was, our real test will be against Cleveland. They're a lot better than people think, and they play Cleveland in the next game. But, I think that, you expected more from the Bears, but at the same time, you have to credit the team they were playing. And if I'm working in Hallis Hall like I did for a long time, when you win and lose a game, the first thing you do, you get there Monday morning, you start breaking down the tape. And you're looking at the strong points of the game, the weak points of the game, and when you win, you're always finding stuff that didn't go right. When you lose, you're finding stuff that didn't go right. And that's what you got to work on going forward.
Of course.
And you got a short week this week to before they play Tampa Bay on Thursday, and that's not going to make things any easier. But I just think that you can attribute I've never seen anything like since when I came to this city in 2001. When I spent even though I was working for the Giants, I was living in Buffalo. They don't attack. The media doesn't attack the teams when they lose in Buffalo like they do here. Here it's like, there's no in between and there's no credit to the other team. To me, it's not that the Bears were that bad. It's that the Colts were that good. And on defense, you said that the Colts offense, was mediocre.
It was.
Well, the Bears defense played pretty damn good.
The Bears defense was okay.
So, that's what they gave up some runs early, but overall, there was one stat, and this was in the fourth quarter, and then they had two more after they flashed a stat on the screen. Colts had 7 plays for negative yardage when they flashed that stat, and there was at least 2 more. In fact, the next play, they had one for negative yards. I think there was one more. That's pretty good defense on the Bears count. Did Johnson, the rookie, get beat once or twice? Sure he did. That's going to happen.
Yeah, early in the game.
But at the same time, he came back and made some good plays, and that's going to happen with the rookie cornerback.
He did. All right, we're going to go chronologically over this. And by the way, you said the offensive line played poorly because Indianapolis's defensive line was very good, which it was, obviously, and is.
Leno had a couple bad plays that were atrocious.
Can I add
Please?
that he was lined up against Justin Houston, who is a phenomenal pass rusher. Let's not forget that he had 22 sacks in one season. Last year, he had 9.5. He's had double-digit sacks in 4 years of his career. This guy is a stud pass rusher. So he made Leno look like a fool on that one play. There's no doubt about it. But there were also times where Leno held his own against Justin Houston. So let's not totally throw Leno out into the trash. Leno is an average left tackle. That's it. And he had a fairly decent game against Houston.
The run blocking sucked. But
that was awful.
Yeah,
okay.
The run blocking was not good. Now you got to go. You got to get back. Here's what's going to happen, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I understand, but Tampa Bay is going to look at this tape and they're going to see what Todd Bowles, who I worked with in Philadelphia, really good coach. He's a defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. He's going to look at this tape. He's going to see what worked for the Colts in this game, and he's going to show a lot of that against the Bears on Thursday night, even though they got only one practice day, really tomorrow, to work for it. And so I think the Bears, some of what they saw yesterday, they're going to see on Thursday. You got to be better at it. It's as simple as that.
Well, guess what, Greg? Tampa Bay's run defense is even better than Indianapolis's run defense, at least statistically.
All I know is they kept flashing the things up, and the Colts were first in just about every category on the board.
Tampa Bay, through the first 4 games, is allowing, on an average, 63 yards rushing per game against them.
I saw a rookie quarterback throw about 300 yesterday against him yesterday,
well,
too.
The Bears will go with a very average veteran quarterback.
And because this is a combination review preview because the game's on Thursday.
That's right.
I'm going to jump ahead again.
Okay.
Did you get an opportunity to watch any of that Chargers-Bucs game?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we saw the highlights. I'm at Soldier Field yesterday,
Okay.
so we see the highlights.
So early in the game, first quarter and a half of the game, the Chargers, I keep wanting to say San Diego, the LA Chargers are totally dominating this game, and they're kicking the shit out of Tom Brady. He got hit 2 or 3 times, big time. And at least one sack, but the others were hits right when he was throwing. This rookie's throwing the ball whenever he wants. Justin Herbert, and having a hell of a day. I think it's his 3rd straight 300-yard game. He didn't play in the first game. And now they stop late in the first half. They stop Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got a punt. There's about a minute and a half left in the first half. The Chargers got a first down on their own 6-yard line. All they got to do is run out the clock on the first down. On first down, the running back fumbles and gives the ball to Tampa Bay. Tampa goes in and scores 3 plays later. That changes the whole game. And really, until about the 2/3 of the way through the third quarter, the Chargers were in that game, and then the experience of Tampa Bay took over. I don't think Tampa Bay's that great, but I just saw what a rookie quarter, and the Chargers are beat up. They're playing with a backup. Actually, in essence, he's a rookie quarterback who's the backup. Tyrod was supposed to play, playing with a backup running back and a bunch of backups on the offensive line. They still put a lot of yards on.
Well, Tom Brady has been awoken, and that's sort of a scary thing. He's coming off 5 touchdown passes yesterday. He did have the 1 pick six, and by the way, he's had quite a few pick sixes already this season.
Like 6 in the last 6 games or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's go over chronologically the Bears game yesterday.
Do we have to?
Yeah. we could be like Haywood Hale Brune and skip over like a large portion of these, but, the Bears seemingly this season, I don't think they've won any coin toss, so they're constantly getting the ball because teams defer always to the second half. So the Bears get the ball on the opening kickoff. Cordarrelle Patterson, takes the opening kickoff. It was 7 yards deep in the end zone. I don't know. This guy is determined to try and run one back, and more often than not, he doesn't even get to the 25-yard line. So it's a bad decision right off the bat. That first offensive possession was not good, although Foles did, it sort of took me by surprise. Foles
they got a first down, and it ended up being they got a first down on second down because they got a pass.
There was a penalty.
Yeah, there was a pass to Mooney on the right sideline, right at the first down marker. I thought actually it was a little short. He was about a half yard short, but they gave him the first down. Then they go 3 more plays and out and punt.
Yeah, and then the punt is blocked. Anyway, I thought they were pretty conservative, and maybe that set the tone for the whole afternoon on that first possession. Although I did see Foles actually throw on the run. I go, wait, is Trubisky in the game? I mean, I was caught off guard by that one. But, very conservative, and that set the tone for the afternoon offensively. I thought right off the bat.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that part. I think you should have been a little bit more aggressive with that first series. You got the ball to start the game. Let's try to do something with it. But the bad thing was, they got a first down. They had halfway decent field position in which to kick, and then you had a total special teams breakdown, getting the punt blocked, and that gives the ball to the Colts in great field position.
So
and you can't do that. It's
I
a
have
field
a
position
question.
game.
You want to establish the run game. It's important to establish the run game. How are you going to do it if you don't call fucking run plays? Excuse my language. But everybody is complaining about the conservative nature of the play calling. Well, you want to have a run game. How do you do that? You got to fucking run the ball.
Well, they were trying to run the ball. In fact, in all honesty, Aldo, I thought they ran the ball too much on first down. That you could have gone to some short passes on first down, and then on second and 6, then you run the ball, then you come back with whatever you're going to do on third down. I thought they were too often tried to run the ball on first down. Then you're getting off schedule because you were constantly the Colts were geared up to stop the run in that game. They did a hell of a job doing it, and there was too often that you were 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 11, and you can't win that way.
All right, so the ball gets turned over. Indianapolis on their first possession. Ultimately, they score a touchdown. We'll get to that in just a second. Jalen Johnson beat pretty bad on the first throw against them, and obviously part of their game plan offensively was to at least pick on the rookie as well. They should have. And early in the game, that gave them success. Although the kid came back and played pretty decent overall in the game yesterday.
There was one play, I don't know remember if that was in that series or it might have been the next Colts series, where it was a crossing route that started on the Colts offensive right side where Kyle Fuller was covering the crosser, and that was a pick route. He got it going across the
got caught in traffic.
Yeah, well, that was purposely caught in traffic. And in essence, that's penalty. That's an illegal offensive play because you're not allowed to pick the defensive back. But they executed it very, very well. That was the whole purpose of the play, and they got a big gain out of it.
Okay, was that the same play? Because I know he was called for pass interference.
No.
Okay, on a different one. Anyway, the one there he's called for pass interference
was a bullshit call.
Okay, I wanted you to say that. All right, ultimately, I think Khalil Mack dropped an easy interception on that drive. I mean, no offense, for 2 first-round picks, catch the freaking ball. Jesus Christ. Come on.
That's why he's playing defense.
Well, I don't care. He's supposed to be a great athlete. Catch the goddamn ball. Anyway.
When I started off in playing football, they said, you know what a DB is? A wide receiver who can't catch.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what a linebacker is? A tight end who can't catch.
Right.
But that was like right in his hands.
Oh, my God.
All right, Rivers on the touchdown pass to Mo Ali Cox. That was one of his best plays. And he didn't play that good either, I'm going to be honest with you. He had a lot of bad throws into the ground yesterday. But on the touchdown pass, that was his third receiver because I saw him look all over the field. Even from up high, you can see that. And then finally he caught, he connected with the Mo Ali Cox, who's already having a good season. Touchdown. I mean, so I thought Indianapolis is one of its best drives is right off the bat.
Right. I won't take anything away from it. They did. They executed very well in that drive.
Okay. Bears get the ball. They were trying to get Demetrius Harris involved early in the game. I was a little surprised by that. I mean, they use all their tight ends. Unfortunately, the 2 other tight ends didn't do anything yesterday, but they were looking for Harris early in the game. Did that surprise you at all?
No, I think it's just what the formation was, who the personnel were in the game. Play called. He was the guy open. He's the guy they went to.
Okay. The Bears, on one of those offensive drives, they were facing a 3rd and 6. And this always pisses me off as a fan, Greg. They call a timeout early in the game for a 3rd and 6, and then they come back even worse.
That was poor clock management on that one.
Poor clock management.
The clock was going down. And that has happened, numerous times over the last few years. What's the reason? Are they getting the play in late or whatever? But you can't be coming up to the line of scrimmage and there's 8 seconds left on the play clock. You got to have 14, 15 seconds.
Okay, anyway, and then, after the timeout, it was a terrible play call on top of it, which always compounds it. The Bears have been notorious, whether back into Lovey's days too. He used to call a lot of timeouts early in the game, and then sometimes at the end of the half, or certainly even worse at the end of a game, they wouldn't have those timeouts when they really needed them. As a fan, okay, it just pisses me off when they have to call so many timeouts early in a game.
No, I agree with you. You're supposed to save those things so when you need them at the end of the half if you're trying to drive the ball.
All right, also in the first quarter, even though he played a pretty good game overall, Roquan Smith, he missed a tackle in the flat. That's something. I'm sorry, you're not supposed to do.
I think in all 4 games now, the tackling has been average to below average,
which is what we talked about.
And it's not just the Bears;
it's all over
across the league.
Okay, and that's because of the lack of preseason training camp.
Chris Sims was mentioned it last night in the pregame show for the Sunday night game. Tackling across the league has been atrocious, and you go back and that's 12 padded practices, probably very little working on tackling in preseason and no preseason games.
Okay, we're going to play some of the sound bites eventually here. We'll get to those in just a little bit. Actually, I got to cue them up myself just to even remember what we sent here. A little spacey here. Anyway, all right, so we're into the second quarter, and actually I wrote down bad tackling opening the second quarter. So that continued from the first into the second quarter.
There was times where they had I don't remember the exact play, but there's times where they had the running back bottled up for a loss or no gain, and he ends up having a positive play. In one case, it was like a 6 or 7 yard positive play.
Okay. There was a play where Indianapolis, actually not once but twice in this game, on a 4th down play, Indianapolis tried to draw the Bears offsides, okay? And you just knew, especially the first time.
That's the one where Rivers finally just walked
He
off.
walked off the field. I mean, gee, we're not giving away with that major hint. Although, it would be really interesting, though. He starts walking off the field. The Bears defense gets a little
and then snap the ball.
Quick snap.
I thought about that.
Did you?
Yep.
I mean, you've seen that play before, right?
Yeah.
That would have been a
I'll
smart
tell you a play I would use, as long as we're on the subject, is when you're in the victory formation or whatever, sometimes they end the half, and the quarterback gets the snap and he's going to throw it down, I'd fake throwing the ball and then toss it deep.
Rub it in. Because it's victory formation.
Well, no, there's teams that done it at the end of the half.
At the end of the half, yeah.
Okay, and so the defense is caught off guard, so the quarterback gets the ball, and we're not on video here. So he fakes throwing it into the ground and then throws a pass. Why not?
I gotcha.
All right, so anyway, he walked off the field. They didn't draw the Bears offsides. Although later in the game, I'm getting ahead of myself again, they did once again try to draw the Bears offside on 4th down, and then they finally called a timeout and then went for it. And I just thought, okay, why didn't you just go for it anyway, Indianapolis? Because that's a waste of a timeout also.
I can't answer that, and I agree with you. Just go for it, unless the play called. They look at the formation. You got the coaches upstairs looking down. You're looking at the defensive formation. You know what the play called, and you're going, this ain't working.
Okay, whatever. I found that peculiar. Anyway, all right. So after that, the Bears take over the ball. Foles, a nice pass and even a better catch by Darnell Mooney. It was a jump ball kind of play, and he came down with it. That was a nice play by the rookie's part.
Yes, but I can go back too. He had another one along the sideline where he went up to get it. The defensive player made a good play, but Mooney had both hands on the ball, and he should have held on.
All right, on that same drive, Foles connected with Robinson, one of the many passes, not many, very few passes, I should say, that they went downfield. They didn't throw very often downfield yesterday. He threw a lot more downfield. Obviously, they were coming from behind in that fourth quarter against Atlanta than they did the entire game yesterday. 2 or 3 of them were on one drive, and then there just weren't. It was such a conservative play calling and a lot of dink and doink kind of passes yesterday.
Well, part of it is
the defense.
What's the defense giving you? They play a lot. They don't play a lot of man there. They play a lot of zone, and it's just in that type of situation, it's just hard to get the deep ball out.
Okay, on that same drive, and this is before they end up getting their 3 points, they call another timeout on a play. To me, it's just another waste of a timeout. Now, maybe you're right, Greg. Maybe they didn't see something on the field. We're not privy to everything. Like I said, it just sort of infuriates the fan in me when they call timeouts when it doesn't look like it's necessary to call a timeout.
It got down. They score with a minute and something left, and they only have one timeout. There's no way they could control or try to control the clock. That if the onside kick doesn't work. And by the way, that was an awful onside kick. But anytime you try those, that's prone to happen.
Indianapolis gets the ball back. There's a horse collar call on Robert Quinn. I don't think you have any qualms with that one, do you?
No.
That one was pretty obvious.
He grabbed by the back of the shirt.
Okay. Rivers throws an interception. Roquan Smith, I think, comes up with it. It sure looked like it was a dumb play on Rivers' part. Do you remember that play?
I remember the play, and it was actually a good call when they overturned it. His foot was out of bounds. His actually foot stepped out of bounds, and you got to, what's the official word? You got to get both feet in bounds.
Right.
And he never had a chance to do that.
Okay, I just thought it was a dumb play in that situation by Indianapolis, and actually they lucked out, in my estimation, because they, got away with him being out of bounds. I just thought it was a dumb play on Indianapolis' part, but whatever. Let's see. Blankenship kicks a 30-yard field goal. It's 13-3 at the half. Oh, I wrote this down also. Cordarrelle Patterson, they've been using him at running back. It's been a disaster so far. I don't know. Does he look like a running back to you? Anybody?
He runs too upright. And
I agree with you.
And you're running him on 3rd and 1, and there's almost impossible for him to pick up those yards after contact because he's vertical.
He is. He exposes his body, actually runs. Eric Dickerson was that kind of upright runner too,
Right.
and I'm not comparing the two, but this is a guy that weighs 225, 230 pounds. You lower your shoulders a little bit. You've got some strength and power. You should be able to get some of those tough yards. I don't know why they don't try to use Nall in a situation like that.
Exactly.
230, 235 pounds. Give him the ball and see what happens.
All right, like you said, Patterson's got good size. I mean, he's definitely built strong. Is he just not bursting enough quick to whatever minute hole there is?
Well, when you are running upright, you lose all momentum like that. And in other words, your body lean. In football, the low man wins. And so an upright running back is always getting hit by a guy lower. He's going to lose. Any leverage he has is automatically taken away because of his upright body positioning.
I don't think anybody realized the loss of Tariq Cohen already is hurting this team because he gave them, another option on offense. Certainly a burst of speed, and he actually is pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield also. So I'm going to ask you, is Patterson, who's got talent in a lot of different areas, are the Bears coaching staff not utilizing his talents? Because right now he's not contributing at all.
I can't answer that. He really didn't have that many touches.
No, he didn't. But the ones that he did, he does nothing with.
He did nothing, and I agree with you. Like on the kickoff, I think some of those, he's got the green light to do what he wants with the ball on the kickoff return. If he feels he can take it out, he's given the green light. And there's times when he's been 7-8 yards deep that he's gone past the 30-yard line, so it's a positive return. And there's other times when he gets hit at the 18 or 19. So I think, given the fact that he has shown that he can get the longer return, he has that green light. I don't have a problem with that, except you don't want to start the game with poor field position in a situation like that where it's the opening kickoff of the game. I think, you're 7-8 yards deep, you kneel down, you take the touchback, you get the ball to the 25-yard line.
Yeah. All right, we're into the third quarter. It's 13-3 entering the third quarter. This is that play early on where Leno was just really beaten bad. I don't even know if the guy even got touched on his way to the quarterback. Did he?
He got escorted.
He got escorted, yes. The same limousine that Trump had yesterday. He got him to the quarterback. Whatever. I don't know. That was just... I know that guy in Indianapolis is outstanding. I know he's a sack-happy kind of guy, but that was just an awful play.
He was an all-pro when he was at Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Ballard knew him. Ballard was Kansas City. Yeah.
Smart move.
Mm-hmm. He was a free agent. He signed him. And he had been, Kansas City had cap troubles. Houston had some injury problems. Ballard knew him. He got him at a decent rate.
All right, the Colts have the ball. It's early in the third quarter. To the Bears' credit, their defense definitely stiffened up. Rivers, I thought, in the third quarter, like I said, maybe as the Bears' defense, certainly had a reason for him looking poor. And I thought Rivers did look poor yesterday. Like I said, he threw a lot of passes that were peculiar into the ground.
He only got sacked twice, but I thought the overall pressure on him was pretty good. There's a couple plays where he just they looked like awful throws that he completed. And it's like, God damn, how did those even get completed? And I think both of them were on the left side, too. And probably for 12, 14, 15-yard gain type things. Looked like they could have been intercepted. The one, actually, they called interference on Eddie Jackson on that play. When we saw the replay, it was an interference call. It was a good call.
Okay, now here's a call that got overturned to the Bears, positive. Allen Robinson had the catch. He was hit over the middle. He coughed up the ball. They called it originally a fumble, but I thought the proper call was overturned.
Oh, no question.
He did have possession. I don't know. What's the rule on that? You have to have possession for a second and a half?
You got to be able to make a football move after you have possession.
Yeah, and he was still pretty much in the air, so he wasn't able to turn upfield. So that was the proper call. I kept writing down here, boring offense, boring offense, boring offense. I'm starting to fall asleep at even remembering the game yesterday.
But here's the thing, and I'll go back, you're right. Boring offense, but at the same time,
good defense.
They're playing another team, and you got to give the other teams taking away what they're trying to do. That's good play on the other side. Let's reverse the role, and the Bears are on defense and they're stopping somebody else's offense. And what are you saying? We're in here saying, "Oh God, what a great day the defense had."
Well,
I
also
that's
wrote
what
down
happened.
boring offense for the Colts, too, because they were pretty boring. Anyway, through 3 quarters, the Bears had 13 rushes for 20 yards.
No, it was awful.
You're not going to win many, if any,
no.
games with those kind of numbers. Okay.
But whose fault? I mean, it goes down to the offensive line. They have to do the job. They got to come off. But at the same time, the Colts played excellent run defense. They crowded the line of scrimmage and they took the run away.
Doesn't bode well for Thursday night, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, 4th quarter, it's 4th and 1. The Bears are going for it. Patterson, handoff, goes backwards, loses a yardage. It's sort of what we were just talking about a couple of minutes ago. Yeah, maybe, unfortunately, what other options do they have? I mean, I'd have Montgomery run it on 4th and 1. That's your bread and butter guy, right?
Right. Or if you want a bigger guy, try Null.
Anyway, so I wrote down he's just been a bust at running back, which he has. Let's see. Then they lucked out on a pass interference call. What else did I write down here? Foles had the interception in that 4th quarter. I'm trying to remember that play specifically. Aldo, you remember that play?
No, I don't.
And I don't remember the play either.
Well, he was intercepted. He brought his quarterback rating down. That little I know. By the way, have you figured out yet how to compute a quarterback rating?
Hell no.
I'll live to be 1,000,000 and never understand it. Honestly, I just don't understand. It must be some kind of. I'll ask Robstein. He'll know.
There's a lot of different variables. It's.
Yeah.
The interception was the one to Anthony Miller.
Okay.
Down the middle, a deep pass down the middle. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, and it was tipped, and then the guy behind him got the ball.
Correct. And Knowles after the game said it was on him. The miscommunication or the misfire.
Yeah, he said it was a bad ball placement on his part.
Blankenship kicks another field goal. He was the star of the game yesterday. He beat the Bears by himself, 12-11. But he kicks a field goal. It's 19-3. And then, Greg, you're going to have to explain this to me because I'm going to go to my grave. Besides not knowing how to compute a quarterback rating, the Bears get the ball, final drive. I mean, the only way the Bears are going to win this game or even get it to overtime is to score a couple of touchdowns, convert the 2-point conversions, and recover an onside kick, which they couldn't. Why does any team, which has been destroying the offense all game long, go into a prevent defense?
Well,
help me out.
It is. And I'm not saying they were in a total prevent defense, but the whole idea of it is, especially you look at what your opponent has timeout-wise and how much time is on the clock. Okay, so the Bears only had 1 timeout.
Right.
Okay, so now the opponent's got to get 2 scores in X amount of time. The whole idea is to prevent them from getting out of bounds. So you want to keep the ball in the field. So you play things strategically a little bit different. The whole idea of it is to run clock. Okay, that gives them the advantage. Now, the Bears had some good plays. I'll tell you, that touchdown reception by Robinson was great. He had another catch in that drive. Things were clicking for him.
But they were playing off the ball more, Greg. Even to a layman like myself, you could see it on the field. They went into a prevent defense.
They're trying to prevent the score, the fast score, and so.
But that's exactly what happened, though. I mean, if you're stymieing an offense all game long, and the Bears' offense did nothing for the most part all game long, why do you change up in that situation? You gave the team, the Bears in this instance, at least a chance. I mean, they did score the 1 touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion. They had the onside kick. What happens if they recover the onside kick and they go down and do it again? So, to me, it's stupid.
It's shoulda, coulda, woulda, but if they recover the onside kick, I guarantee you they scored again.
Okay.
But and then how is the Colts going to play defense? I explained
probably
the
do the
first
same
time.
thing.
No, I don't think so. I think then they go back to.
But why don't you just stay
play.
with what's working? Again, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
You got to ask their defensive coordinator. I say his name, Everfuss.
But in general, you're saying it's basically to run the team out of time on the clock.
Right.
I think you're going to run the time out of the clock even more so if you just stop them, right?
Yeah, but prevent the big play and keep them in the middle of the field. Don't let them get out of bounds.
But they did.
Every time inside the 4 minutes in an NFL game, when the ball goes out of bounds, the clock stops. That's not the case for the rest of the game. So now you want that clock to roll in between plays. Let them have to clock the ball a few times. That takes away it down.
I think it's stupid.
Okay.
I just do. I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't make a difference. Indianapolis ended up winning the game, and they covered the spread for all those people who have those kind of concerns on the game itself. Let's hear from some of the participants post-game now. All right, let's start with Matt Nagy, who knows his team didn't play that well, and they have to be better going forward.
What we need to do now is, obviously on a short week, we have to pick up the pieces. We just had a talk in the locker room of just understanding that we stick together and that we have a short week against a good football team. But, I have a lot of respect for our players, and I know that they, along with our coaches, will do everything we can to get better.
All right, I didn't think he had a very good day coaching either yesterday, Greg. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can complain about the play calling all you want.
I just did.
The only thing is, when plays work, you don't complain about it. When they don't work, you complain.
But I thought,
and I'm not making excuses. That's just a matter of fact.
Okay, I just thought they were very conservative right off the bat. And like I said early on, I just thought that sort of set the tenor for the game.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Okay, again, this is where you really realize that little guy who had the ACL, Tariq Cohen. I mean, he makes a big difference in play calling. He gives you some options because of what he can do on the field that is, been taken away. So it'll be interesting to see what happens coming up.
And are they didn't use Pierce in the game at all? Mm-hmm. And was he even active?
No.
Okay, and he's a guy that can catch the ball. He's got speed. Obviously, he's not Tariq Cohen, but he's the closest thing you got to Cohen on this team right now. So let's utilize the skill set.
All right, let's hear from Nick Foles next. I had an argument with somebody on Twitter after the game yesterday. They said, well, look at all the yards he had, like 250 yards. And I'm thinking, yeah, but about 70 of those came on that last drive when, as I said, Indianapolis went into the four corners defense. Anyway, here's Nick Foles. He says, yeah, I didn't really have a good game.
It wasn't the best game. No, you know what? And I think the Indianapolis Colts are a great team, but I didn't execute well enough, and we didn't execute well enough. But that's something, like I said before, we will look at it, we'll move on, we'll improve. This is part of football. This is part of building those relationships and understanding plays, and continue to grow. And I have to be better. I have to be more crisp.
Yeah, he does have to be more crisp, but also the offense has got to be geared more towards what his strengths are.
I agree with you.
What are his strengths, by the way? Help me out.
No, he give him time and let him. Some quarterbacks play better from under center. Others play better from the gun.
Okay.
He has shown a history of playing better from the gun, yet they didn't want to change the offense that drastically from last week to this week. When you think at it from a coaching standpoint, that might be a good move. But now, you're going into game 2, and you've got to go with the strength of the player. Play to his skill set.
What was disturbing about his performance is that there were some errant throws.
There's no question.
There were some accuracy issues, and that was what I was hoping we would see an improvement over with Mitchell, because Mitchell's biggest issue has been his accuracy.
Well, the thing that I noticed was, number one, there was pressure. They were putting consistent pressure on him. But you go back to the Atlanta game, he got the ball out of his hand real quickly. And the good quarterbacks do that. That was not the case yesterday. Mm-hmm. Okay, and part of that has to be attributed to the way the Colts were playing defense.
Well, certainly a big difference in defense between Atlanta's terrible, decimated defense and Indianapolis's very, very good defense. So no question about that. Anyway, here's the scary part about Foles, and this is words right out of your mouth as we were going into the season. Much better coming off the bench. Not as good, obviously, when he's a starter. And boy, in back-to-back weeks, that's been proven Small sample size in a Bears uniform, but came off the bench against Atlanta. Great. Not so good
when
yesterday.
When I say much better coming off the bench, it's coming off the bench in the middle of the season, like he did. Okay, becomes the relief pitcher and then takes over. He's had more success than that than starting the season as the starter.
All right, let's hear from Allen Robinson, and he says, "Eesh." Well, he didn't say that. I just did.
I mean, we have to regroup. Again, I mean, that's what makes this league special. We put quarter one of the season behind us. We finished 3-1. Now we're in the quarter two of the season. Again, we got a good team coming in here in Tampa Bay. That's playing well right now. That's starting to heat up a little bit. So again, we got to take on the challenge. We got to come out here and play better.
All right, and I'm going to paraphrase. You got to shake off the dud of yesterday. That's basically what he said.
No question. And he said a thing, and I was thinking about this going into the game, and then forgot about it until he just said it right there. He goes, we're 3-1 in the first quarter of the season.
Correct.
Coaches break down a season into four-game segments, and they finish this segment 3-1. You finish every segment 3-1, you're 12-4, you're winning the division. Okay, now I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but you got through segment 1, 3-1. Now you got game, and you start at home. They started on the road for game 1 of segment of the first segment. They're starting at home for game 1 of segment number 2 on a short week.
Yeah, I'm going to predict the next segment's 1 and 3.
Okay.
That's what I'm predicting.
And who's the one?
I don't think it's going to be Thursday night. I got to even take a look and see who they play afterwards.
That's Carolina after that, and I don't know who after that.
Yeah, well, Carolina's a possibility, but that's a road game. Anyway, let's hear one more.
Well, I got one answer for you on that anyway.
Go ahead.
Well, look at how awful Minnesota had been playing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they go down to Texas, and Texas allows fans, so it's not like they're playing in an empty stadium, and they kicked the hell out of Houston.
Okay, they beat an 0-4 team. Good for them.
Yeah, but that was a team that was the favorite to win that division going in. Bill O'Brien, the head coach, has got to fire Bill O'Brien, the GM, or Bill O'Brien, the GM's got to fire Bill. One or the other. One of those O'Briens got to go.
You got to go. No, you got to go. No, you got to go. Aldo's going to spit up his drink. All right, let's hear from one more. Roquan Smith. And again, I thought Roquan overall played a pretty good game. He did have almost an interception. He did have the one missed tackle in the flat early on, but I still thought he had a pretty good game overall. And he says, yes, there is room for improvement.
I feel like we're getting better each and every week, still not where we want to be. So we just got to get back in the lab, focus on our craft, and just continue to get better. But we're not there yet. We're not where we want to be yet, but we're just working our tails off to get there. So we're just going to bounce back and go from there.
What did you think about the other linebackers yesterday, all three of them?
I thought Trevathan probably played a little better than he has. Showed a little more quickness than we've seen in the first 3 games. Mac was Mac. Quinn still, I don't know if they feel Quinn is in
shape.
Superb shape yet. Oof. That he can, be an every down player because Mingo's in there, quite a bit. That's going to make a difference. All told, I thought the defense played good. It was more bend don't break type defense. They allowed some long drives, some time consuming drives, but they didn't give up a lot of points. And you only give up that many points in a game, you should be able to win it. That's where the offense got to take over. That defense plays like that every week. You're going to be in every game.
Okay.
You should have a chance to be in every game.
I think Bush got hurt in yesterday's game. I don't know what his status is going to be in a short week. So, they're, overall.
He wasn't a starter anyway, though.
No, but it's depth. It's depth is where I'm going with this one. I thought the kid yesterday, Jalen Johnson, played, like I said, he got beat early on in the game, but I thought overall he played a pretty good game.
He's going to go through some growing pains, but I think this guy's not going to be a good corner. I think he's going to be a great corner.
Okay. Time will obviously tell. All right, let's go around the rest of the league yesterday because, as always, there's some.
Well, let's talk about because we.
You wanted the Tampa Bay game?
Now, here's the thing: Tampa Bay. The main question. It'll be interesting watching the injury report. Their best receiver, Evans, twisted an ankle early in that game. He was out. They took him into the locker room, and he came back and played, did not play with speed. But now what happens with an ankle after a game?
It blows up.
Blows up. I guarantee he got a shot when he went in there. And it's going to blow up. I think it'll be interesting to see on a short week if he even plays.
Okay.
And that's going to be worth watching because that's going to be really Godwin hasn't played since week 1 for Tampa Bay, and if Godwin and Evans is out, they're playing with backup wide receivers, and their tight ends are good now. They get the ball now. Gronk had a touchdown late, I think, in the game, but Gronk doesn't play that much. Gronk only plays in key situations. They're playing O.J. Howard and what's the other guy's name?
Curly?
No.
Shemp?
Hayden Hurst?
No. Hurst was Atlanta. That was last week.
Oh, that's right.
But Gronk is the third tight end, and a lot of times he doesn't even come into the game until they get in the red zone.
Okay. Tight ends, Bears tight ends. I thought last week against Atlanta, they utilized them the way they should be. Jimmy Graham. Overall, though, yesterday,
I think they had
didn't see much
5
here.
catches.
But,
But a lot of it was late.
A lot of them was late. Actually,
might have been 6 catches.
There was 2, I think, on the first or second drive, and then a lot of them were late. So in between, in that large portion of the game, like nothing. I don't know. Whatever. I've criticized the play calling yesterday. I'm not the only one, by the way. That seems to have been one of the biggest beefs by the fans' part on talk radio this morning and after the game yesterday. A lot of it was play calling.
And I think that there are some issues with the play calling, but first and foremost, it's the execution. You call a running play, there has to be good blocking in order for the guy to pick up positive yards. And so we weren't seeing that. As Greg said, the run blocking for this team was atrocious yesterday. I thought actually the pass blocking was much better than the run blocking. And there were some errant throws. So, all of a sudden the play calling becomes better if the execution is there by the part of the players.
That's always the case. I mean, it's when you're struggling, you only score 1 touchdown and a field goal. Play calling sucked. Mm-hmm. Okay, they've been averaging 26 points, 27 points a game, but the play calling, you can go to the play calling. It gets down. Coaches will tell you it's execution, not play calling, but. Can you change certain calls at certain points of the game? Sure. But the coaches critique themselves, too.
Right.
And again, I'm not trying to stand up for anybody. I'm just knowing, I take a look at this like when I was working in the league, and what happens on Monday, you go through the tape, you find out a lot of times when you lose and you think you were atrocious in certain areas and you watch the tape, sometimes it wasn't as bad. Might be just one little thing that separates a 1-yard loss from a 5-yard gain on a running play or something like that. And so you want to look at that and then try to correct it for the next game. Problem is you only got 1 practice, and that'll be tomorrow, and a walkthrough on Wednesday to make that correction.
Right.
But given the fact, and one of the things is, as Minnesota looked so bad on offense the first 3 weeks, then they go down and their offense opened right up playing in Texas. So this is the NFL, and things like that happen. You can change from week to week.
Absolutely. All right, let's start with Minnesota. Yesterday, they were playing in the defeated bowl, I guess, as opposed to the undefeated bowl. And Houston is still defeated. They're 0-4. Minnesota gets its first win. And I thought the Vikings did what they should be doing. They started early, and often they handed the ball to Dalvin Cook, and he had 130 yards and a couple of scores.
Right. No, I didn't watch any of that game. I was kind of surprised that the way Minnesota had been playing and Houston playing at home. I thought Houston might win that game, but Houston's terrible. And you know what? When you look at the big picture, and the big picture is Bill O'Brien, the general manager, got rid of an awful lot of good players, and they're shorthanded right now.
Yep.
And some of that goes back to last year. They got rid of Clowney last year. They got rid of the receiver this year. Some other guys. Hey, he put them in that position.
Let's stay in the division. Oh, here's a shock. The Lions came from ahead to lose again.
Yeah, I saw they were up, 14-7 at one point.
Well, they were up 14-0.
Nothing, yeah.
14-0, and I was talking to a friend of mine who lives down in New Orleans, and I said, you know what? don't worry. This team has a penchant for blowing 14-point leads all the time. Sure enough, the next thing you know, it's 28-14, and New Orleans hangs on and wins 35-29. I'm telling you, Matt Patricia is not going to be the coach after this season, and maybe even before that.
And Quinn won't be the general manager either.
Okay, big changes with the Lions, which means they'll still stink. All right, Cleveland. Oh, here's a team that I love when they lose, Dallas. But Cleveland's actually playing some good football.
Mm-hmm.
They had, check this out, Greg, they had 307 yards rushing, the most ever against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas at one point was down 20
And the game was in
points.
Dallas.
Yeah, and there were fans there.
Yeah. No, the game
Probably
was in
booing.
Dallas. Then they had the one touchdown was on a reverse throw where Landry makes a left-handed throw to Odell Beckham in the end zone. That was a hell of a play call, and when the play works, it's a hell of a play call. When the play doesn't work, like the reverse they did to our little slot receiver, what the hell's his name?
Anthony Miller.
No, not Miller, the other guy, number 11.
Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney, and then he gets hit for a loss on the thing. When they work, they're great calls. When they don't work, the coach sucks.
Well, speaking of sucking, how about the Cowboys' defense? Through 4 games, they've allowed 146 points. That's an average of 36.5 a game.
Saw a tweet last night by Joe Banner, who I respect highly, and Joe said, Cowboys got rid of a bad coaching staff only to get a worse one.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy was vilified on social media yesterday.
Did you see? He always gets mixed up for the coach. And some guy says, fire the coach, and he goes, no!
All right, Tampa Bay, who's going to be here on Thursday night, Tom Brady. This is the part that scares me. They might have awoken the giant, or the sleeping giant. I mean, again, he did have a pick 6 yesterday, Brady did, but he also threw 5 touchdown passes.
I watched that whole game, and that was I keep wanting to say San Diego. The L.A. Chargers handed them that game on a silver platter, and it started with that fumble near the end of the first half.
All right, Baltimore, sort of the nondescript game, beats Washington 31-17. Carolina, who the Bears will play in a couple of weeks. Teddy Bridgewater had a couple of touchdown passes. They beat Arizona. I think that game was on the road yesterday, 31-21, if I'm not mistaken.
That game was in Carolina.
Oh, was it in Carolina?
Yeah, because
okay.
It was an early game. But
okay.
That one kind of surprised me, and the only thing that surprised me is Arizona. The media was playing Arizona to be one of the better teams in the NFC West. They suck like they always suck.
Okay. Seattle does not suck. They're 4-0. They're legit. 31-23 over Miami. Gee, Russell Wilson, an off day yesterday. Only 2 touchdown passes. He's up to 16, though, through his first 4 games. Again, he's leading candidate through the first quarter of the season for MVP over in the NFC.
Allen.
No, NFC, AFC.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get to Josh Allen. All right, let's get to Josh Allen right now. Buffalo also undefeated. There's a lot of symmetry between Seattle and Buffalo. 30-23 over Vegas, and Josh Allen had 2 touchdown passes, but I think he ran one in also yesterday. Did he not?
Yeah, and he didn't have a good game. He only threw for 288.
Terrible when you only throw for 288.
I tweeted out last night. I said the most improved player in the NFL from last year to this year, hands down, is Josh Allen. And, somebody tries to say, Wyatt Teller, a guard from Cleveland. And I said, we're talking a quarterback, the most important position on the team. He's thrown for 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, and only 1 interception in 4 games.
Pretty damn good. Yeah. Also pretty good and only going to get better, the kid in Cincinnati, as the Bengals win 33-25. And I think that rookie quarterback is off to a really good start. And I know you think the same thing.
No, I like his poise, I guess, is the best word. That's very impressive. But, somebody, it might have been Nagy from the Senior Bowl, or it could have been Daniel Jeremiah, had a Twitter poll last night. Okay, who's the better rookie quarterback? Personally, even though the Chargers haven't won, I think that Herbert kid is really good.
And he played pretty damn well himself yesterday. Really well, in fact. Philadelphia wins its first game on the season, so they're not going to burn down the city of brotherly love.
went to bed before that. I didn't realize Philly until right now. You told me that Philly came back and won that game.
Philly came back and won the
Because
game.
the last time I saw, they were down 14-7, 14-8.
Yeah.
Frisco's just decimated right now. Philly wins.
So is Philly. Philly was playing with 2 backup tackles.
Yeah.
They lost Lane during the game, and they got this Australian rugby player playing left tackle who never stepped on a football field till 2 years ago. He's left tackle now in the National Football League.
Now, listen, I've been to a lot of rugby games at Soldier Field, and that is a brutal, brutal sport itself. But I've also seen a lot of people say, well, these rugby players, these tough guys, they can easily play in the NFL. No, they can't. It's a different sport.
Totally different sport, but this guy's playing offensive tackle, left tackle, and he had never stepped on a football field till 2 years ago.
It's so funny. All right, Philadelphia wins at Frisco last night, 25-20. And then finally, the L.A. Rams, who the Bears will play in a few weeks themselves, I think that's a night game down the road in Los Angeles. They beat the Giants 17-9, and the only reason I saved this one for last is because I hate New York, and the teams in New York are 0-8 combined. 0-8, Greg.
If New York gets into the end zone, instead of kicking field goals, they win that game. And then they had a little extracurricular activity at the end of that game. Jalen Ramsey and Golden Tate squared off. And I guess and it turned out
little family function there.
Jalen Ramsey had knocked up Golden Tate's sister a couple times, and Golden Tate did not like it.
But did you see the tackle Ramsey put on Tate?
Not once, twice.
Oh man, he
I think
slammed it. Clean tackles, by the way. At least the first one was. But then at the end of the game, they squared off at midfield.
Yep.
God.
Somebody's going to get fined and maybe suspended over that.
I want to be invited to their Thanksgiving. All right, listen, we're almost out of time here, but we got the game coming up on Thursday night. We're not going to do another podcast this week because it's a shortened week until after the game. So we'll do it on Friday after Thursday night's game. So I guess we're going to take our early predictions now, and we'll start with Aldo. Put him on the spot.
The Bears will lose to the Bucs 30-21.
Greg?
24-21 Bucs.
Actually, you know what? You picked my score. So I'm going to have to go backwards. I'll say 24-17 Tampa Bay. So at least we're unanimous. And we're saying this because... Why? Why are you going against the Bears?
Only because I really think they're going to win, and so
reverse psychology.
But I think they're going to lose. Dr. Feelgood. I'm the feel-good guy in the room here.
I don't think that the team is ready to play to their capabilities yet. I think
that's a good point. And here's what I want to see. They lose a game, they don't play good on offense, and losing the game, short week. I wish it's a good thing that the fans weren't there because would have got a little nasty with fans in the stadium yesterday. But I want to see how they bounce back on a short week. And they should be able to get riled up playing Tom Brady. But I know when they look at that tape, they're going to say this Tampa Bay team is beatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're beatable, but Tampa Bay's looking at the same tape that from Bears game yesterday and saying they're more than beatable.
Well, no, I get that, but I've seen a couple of they stunk in the first game.
You're right.
They win, they win the 3 games since, but the Chargers, number one, they're down a ton of players, and number two, gave them everything they could handle in Tampa.
What is also interesting is that Mike Evans is likely not to play because he really hurt his foot. He finished the game, but I doubt he's going to play.
Yeah, that's what we got to watch during the week because I guarantee you that ankle's going to balloon up.
Oh, yeah.
And, if it's next Sunday, it's probably 50-50 or better that he plays. But being that it's Thursday,
he won't play.
All right, I still have the Bears finishing 8-8, Greg.
Okay.
You said if they started 3-0, there's no way they finish 8-8.
I don't think they're going to finish.
Are you going to take that $50 bet?
I said I bet you 50. We didn't say that. We didn't.
Could be toothpicks.
50 jelly beans.
Let's take the 0 off it, and I'll say $5.
You're on.
$5.
All right.
That just means that we're going to at least do these podcasts through the end of the season. That's right. Because I want to collect my $5.
Now, I don't want you quitting with 2 weeks to go after they've already got.
Wait a second. Let me write out my 2-week notice. No, come on. We're having too much fun with this. I would never walk away from this. Would I? No, I wouldn't. All right, anyway, so we'll be back on Friday with our next podcast. We'll preview the game from Thursday night, and we've had fun again this afternoon, and we'll talk to you then. Take care, everybody.